Naomi Brooks inhaled the salty breeze as she stepped out of the sleek black car onto the white marble driveway. The sun hovered low over the Aegean Sea, painting Santorini's cliffs in molten gold. She smoothed the silk of her pearl-white dress and glanced at her boyfriend, Zane Carter, who adjusted his designer shades with a triumphant smirk. Behind them, the resort's grand archway proclaimed Elysian Heights, promising every luxury imaginable. "Welcome to paradise," Zane announced, voice just loud enough for passing guests to hear. He gestured to the bellhop. "We booked the best suite, right?" The bellhop offered a polite bow. "Ms. Naomi Brooks, your suite is prepared, on the house." He tapped a sleek card embossed with Naomi's initials. Zane's grin wavered. "On your house." Naomi's lips curved in a serene smile. "Details, Zane. I handle them." Inside, lush gardens of bougainvillea and jasmine framed a sweeping view of the caldera. Soft laughter drifted from an infinity pool where sun-soaked guests lounged. Zane's finger tapped an ornate marble counter. "My influencer collab covered this." The staff whispered among themselves, exchanging glances. Trey and Lana, Zane's two ever-chatty friends, burst around a corner, laughing. "Zane, you legend." Trey clapped him on the back. Lana's eyes flicked toward Naomi. "Nice to meet you," she said, voice low. "Zane's been hyping you up." "Pleasure," Naomi replied, nodding. Her calm composure contrasted with Zane's rising discomfort. They were led through lantern-lit corridors to a private dinner terrace. Flickering flames cast dancing shadows on crisp linen and crystal. Zane signaled for 2 bottles of Chateau Minuet. The sommelier bowed and served Naomi first. Zane's eyebrow twitched. Over grilled sea bass and citrus risotto, Zane regaled everyone with tales of yachts and VIP parties. He reached for his phone, ready for the next TikTok drop. Naomi sipped her wine and watched him. She'd built Brooks Properties from scratch, 10 boutique resorts across Europe and Asia, each a testament to her vision for sustainable luxury. Yet Zane assumed she was merely tagging along. Trey leaned in. "So, Naomi, what do you do when you're not sipping Santorini's finest?" Naomi placed her glass on the table. "I oversee Brooks Properties, a small chain of villas in Europe and the Maldives. We specialize in intimate guest experiences and eco-design." Lana's jaw dropped. "You own resorts?" Naomi nodded. "This one included. But tonight, I'm enjoying the hospitality." She raised her glass. "To unexpected adventures." As they clinked glasses, Zane's face flushed. He swallowed as a waiter approached. "Ms. Brooks, our chef has prepared your signature dessert, honey poached figs with lavender creme." The table fell silent. Zane stared as the server placed a gilded plate before Naomi. She smiled graciously and took a bite. Sweet ecstasy spread across her features. Later, Naomi lingered on the terrace under a canopy of stars. A gentle breeze carried the promise of the sea. Zane approached, voice subdued. "I wish you told me." She turned, moonlight catching her eyes. "I wanted to see how long you'd keep pretending." He swallowed hard. "Pretending?" Naomi traced her fingertip along the railing. "Pretending you were in control." She stepped back, silhouette outlined in silver. Morning light filtered through billowing white curtains as Naomi awoke, in a suite fit for royalty. Pillows of silk and cashmere surrounded her. The air smelled of lemon blossom. She stretched and opened the balcony doors. The Aegean below shimmered. Zane knocked and entered, coffee in hand. "Morning sunshine," he said, setting a cup on the marble table. He glanced at the view. An infinity pool etched into the horizon, private loungers, a jacuzzi. "My influencer deal really came through, huh?" Naomi selected a fresh orange from the fruit bowl. "Strange how generous your deal was." He frowned. "What do you mean?" She sipped her juice. "Try this." She pointed to a gold-leaf door key. "Notice whose name is on the reservation." Zane's eyes widened as he read, "Ms. Naomi Brooks." He backed away. You booked all this." She stood, letting the breeze lift her hair. "You thought your deal paid the tab. Actually, I did." He swallowed. "But you never said." Naomi folded her arms. "You never asked." The waiter arrived with a warm croissant basket. He smiled at Naomi. "Ms. Brooks, We trust you enjoyed your stay last year. Your usual table is all set. Zane's face paled. Last year. Naomi stepped aside. Yes, Zane. 2 visits ago, I held a gala here. Do you remember? He shook his head, bewildered. I didn't. You never noticed, Naomi said softly. I think that's the point. Zane sank into a chair. Naomi, I thought I was impressing you. She touched his arm. You did impress me, with your arrogance. But I'm not your charity case. Trey and Lana arrived, snapping selfies by the pool. Trey waved. Breakfast ready? Zane ordered the works. Lana turned. Where's he ordering from? Naomi offered a polite smile. From me. In the dining pavilion, Naomi took the seat of honor. Zane hovered beside her, reluctant and unsettled. She watched him squirm as the staff addressed her by name and delivered dishes curated to her tastes. Eggs Florentine with truffle oil, Greek yogurt with local honey, smoked salmon canapes. Zane finally spoke. Naomi, She cut him off. Let's skip the platitudes. If you want respect, earn it. He looked away. Lana gasped quietly. Girl, you're a boss. Naomi stood. Thank you, Lana. Now let's enjoy breakfast. As Zane watched her lead the conversation with the resort manager, discussing future design collaborations, Naomi felt the first thrills of empowerment. She called his bluff, and he crumbled. The cliffside resort was hers in every sense that mattered. By mid-morning, Naomi and Zane descended to the private beach. Trey and Lana lounged under a striped umbrella, iced cocktails in hand. Zane motioned them over. Guys, you've got to meet Naomi, he said, voice uncertain. Trey gave a lazy salute. Sup, Ms. Naomi. They fist-bumped awkwardly. Lana fluttered eyelashes. This place is amazing. Naomi surveyed the cove. Black volcanic rocks, crystalline waters, a single paddleboard tied to a buoy. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I thought we could try paddleboarding. Lana gasped. You're adventurous. Trey snorted. I'm good. I prefer the bar. Naomi smiled at the calm sea. I'll show you. She pulled on a life vest and pushed off with practiced strokes. Zane trailed clumsily, trying to balance. Lana squealed as Naomi glided effortlessly. After the ride, Naomi invited them to a secluded cabana. Crisp towels, chilled coconut water, and chilled shade awaited. Zane collapsed onto a daybed. Okay, wow. You're amazing at this. Naomi perched on the edge of a lounger. I grew up sailing with my grandmother on Lake Como. She reached for her phone. Would anyone like snorkeling gear? The reef below is spectacular. Trey slapped the sand. Lead the way, seashell. Lana sprang up. I'll come, if Naomi swims with me. Naomi hesitated, then laughed. Lead on. She tossed Lana a mask. As they swam among schools of iridescent fish, Zane watched from the cabana, arms folded. Naomi guided Lana through coral formations, pointed out hidden octopi. Trey splashed playfully. The afternoon sun warmed their backs. Later, exhausted but exhilarated, they returned. Zane approached Naomi privately. Don't take this the wrong way, but are you sure you're not bored? Naomi dabbed her hair dry. Never bored when I'm in control of the itinerary. She held his gaze. I design experiences. You document them. He nodded slowly. I see that now. Naomi offered him a cup of coffee. There's still plenty more to see. Shall we continue? Zane accepted. Lead the way, boss. That evening, under an open-air canopy, guests gathered for a gala event. White drapes billowed as lanterns swayed. A violinist played soft strings. Zane looked every bit the proud host, until the maitre d' approached. Ms. Brooks, your table awaits, he said. Zane swallowed. We're all at table 6, he muttered. Naomi's smile didn't waver. Please, after you. He led the way, cheeks flushed. At the head of the table, a floral arrangement spelled out Brooks in delicate blossoms. Zane sank into the seat to Naomi's left. Trey and Lana slid in beside him. An applause rose as the general manager introduced Naomi. Tonight we honor our patron, Ms. Naomi Brooks, whose vision brought this event to life. Zane looked mortified. Substitute +1, he thought. But the guests rose to their feet. Lana whispered, "Wow, girl. You rock this." Naomi held the manager's gaze. "Thank you. It's been an honor." As champagne flutes chimed, Zane realized the magnitude. Every detail, from the linen to the menu, bore her signature. He forced a smile and raised his glass. After dinner, as lantern light flickered and laughter swelled, Naomi slipped away to speak privately with the chef. Zane followed. "Naomi, let's talk." She emerged moments later, wiping her hands on a crisp apron. "I arranged a private tasting for the chef's new menu prototypes." Zane reached out. "Baby, I feel humiliated." Naomi met him calmly. "I hoped you'd realize respect is earned, not granted." He exhaled. "I get it. I'm sorry." She paused. "Your apology means little if you don't change." He nodded. "Give me the chance." Naomi's eyes softened. "Then prove it." Dawn broke in pastel pinks over the caldera as Naomi led Zane through a hidden corridor to her penthouse suite. The door slid open on remote control. Zane stared. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a private plunge pool, a lounge area with sculptural chairs, and a floating glass staircase. "This is incredible," he whispered. "I had no idea." Naomi stepped aside. "Your turn." He walked forward, fingertips grazing marble counters and custom cabinetry. "But you didn't have to share this with me." She joined him by the pool. "I wanted you to see who I really am." Zane leaned against the railing. "I want to know you." She looked out at the sunrise as waves lapped below. "Then meet me here at sunset. I'll show you the rest of my world." He smiled, genuine and tender. "I'll be here." Naomi extended her hand. "Welcome to my paradise." He took it, new humility in his eyes. As they clasped hands, the sun peaked above the horizon. In that moment, the power dynamic shifted forever, and the real story was just beginning. The afternoon sun glittered on the villa's white stone courtyard as Naomi and Zane lounged on chaise longues beneath a billowing canopy. Zane toyed with a tropical drink, straw dangling from his mouth. He studied Naomi's serene expression. "You got lucky with me," he said, voice low. "Without my connections, you'd still be back in Lagos." Naomi raised an eyebrow, the corner of her lip curving upward. She set her book aside and turned toward him. "Is that what you believe?" He shrugged, a smirk returning. "You drive a nice car, fine. But come on. Who hears about Brooks Properties in Nigeria?" Naomi rested her chin on her hand. "You really think this was luck?" She lifted her glass. "My first property was a derelict villa in Lake Como. I turned it into one of Europe's top wedding destinations before you were posting selfies in Santorini." Zane's cheek twitched. He leaned forward. "So you did it all on your own?" She nodded, eyes steady. "Every deal, every design. I built my brand from ground level. No trust fund. No influencer hype." He looked away. A server in crisp whites approached and whispered something to Naomi. Her smile returned, but gentler, not mocking. "Ms. Brooks," he said softly, "your driver is here. He's ready to take you to the next resort site, if you wish." Zane stood abruptly. "Another site? You never rest, do you?" Naomi waved him off. "I rest. I also expand. But you don't have to come." He froze. "What?" She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "This trip could be a business visit, but only if you earn an invitation." Zane's face flushed. "Earn it." Naomi rose and gathered her things. "Yes," she said, voice firm but kind. "Show me you respect me beyond my money. Then you can be a partner." He swallowed hard, watching her walk away with measured grace. The canopy flapped in the breeze. Zane realized, too late, that luck had nothing to do with Naomi's success, only her vision and drive. The infinity pool's waters mirrored the cerulean sky as Naomi practiced laps at dawn. The gentle stroke was meditative, each movement precise and powerful. Zane arrived, phone in hand, filming the scene for his story highlight reel. "Look at you, the resort queen," he teased, glancing at his phone. "Gonna post this with #GirlBossGoals." Naomi slowed and paused, treading water. "Would you rather film me or swim with me?" Zane hesitated, lowering his phone. "I can do both." She smiled. "Come in. Water's perfect." He shed his shirt and dove in, awkward strokes and sputters, while Naomi glided beside him. 2 servers arrived carrying towels and fresh fruit platters. They laid them poolside, addressing Naomi by name. Zane scrubbed water from his eyes. Fruit already? We haven't even left the pool. Naomi draped a towel around his shoulders. I requested fresh mango and berries. You like them? He nodded, mouth full. Yeah, this is good. Lana and Trey appeared, lounging with cocktails. Trey gave a thumbs up. Nice dip, Zane. Lana studied Naomi. You really swim like a pro. Naomi mounted the pool's edge. I swam competitively in university. Lana's eyes widened. Wow, you're full of surprises. Naomi retrieved her sarong. Most are in boardrooms, not here. Zane winced. Can we just chill without the resume, please? Naomi folded the sarong around him. You're welcome to relax, or you can learn the next stretch. Zane rubbed the back of his neck. I'll chill. Later, as Lana and Naomi chatted about design trends, Zane scrolled his phone, frustration creeping in. He realized every moment in Santorini, Naomi outshone him, online and off. The resort queen was no puppet in his posts, she ruled. That evening, the group attended an exclusive wine pairing event in the resort's glass-enclosed vineyard lounge. Candles and crystal holders cast a warm glow on oak barrels, and vines creeping along trellises. Naomi and Zane found seats at a tasting table for 4. A sommelier approached. Ms. Naomi Brooks, the signature pairing is on you. A 2018 micro-vintage specially bottled for our VIP guests. Zane's jaw tightened. He glanced at Naomi. She nodded, expression calm. Trey whispered, Dude, how do you do that? Zane shrugged weakly. Lana elbowed him. Why are you so quiet? Naomi leaned forward. I arranged for this vintage last year, when I hosted a design retreat here. Lana's eyes widened. So you're behind the wine too. A server poured the first glass. Zane stared at the deep garnet swirl. You bottled it. Naomi sipped and smiled. I curated the blend. He looked around, noticing personalized menus, with her name scripted at the top. Even the cheese board was selected from her favorites. Truffle Gouda, aged Manchego, local feta. He swallowed. I can't believe I bragged about this as my treat. Naomi set down her glass. The truth tends to outshine fiction. Later, in the lounge's quiet corner, Zane excused himself. Naomi watched him go, then texted the general manager. Please prepare tomorrow's sunrise yacht tour under Brooks Properties flag. She set her phone aside. Morning light filtered through the glass deck of a private yacht. Naomi stood at the bow, hair whipping in the breeze. Zane approached, wristband in hand. Your VIP bracelet, he said, holding it out. She took it, then slipped his off and placed it gently on the railing. This one's mine. He blinked. Mine. Only Brooks Properties VIPs get rooftop spa and yacht access, she explained. You're welcome to join if invited. He swallowed. So, I'm not invited. She smiled, reaching for his hand. I invite you. But you must understand, privileges come with respect. He nodded, tugging the bracelet onto his wrist. It clicked. I understand. As the yacht glided into the caldera, a staff member in crisp whites greeted Naomi by name. Zane watched as the crew turned to her for instructions, charting their course, selecting champagne, planning the menu. He realized that every seam of this trip, the suite, dinner, wine, spa, yacht, was Naomi's vision. She didn't need him to shine. She simply let him stand beside her. That afternoon, Naomi hosted a small lunch on the yacht's sun deck, for just the 4 of them. Fresh seafood, citrus salads, and chilled rose awaited beneath a striped awning. Lana studied Naomi as she poured. Okay, spill it. How did you build all this? Naomi set down the bottle. I started Brooks Properties with a single equity loan. I renovated old villas in Italy. Reinvested everything. I learned architecture. I learned hospitality. Trey leaned forward. So, no trust fund? Naomi laughed softly. No. Only late nights and early mornings. Lana exchanged a glance with Trey. But why keep it quiet? Zane thought he was the star. Naomi met Lana's eyes. Because I wanted to see who valued me for me, not my money. Lana nodded thoughtfully. Well, I value you. Trey raised his glass. To Naomi, our mystery mogul. They all laughed, toasting. Zane, watching from the railing, felt both humbled and inspired. Naomi caught his eye. She winked. In that moment, the last threads of imbalance were woven into something new. Genuine respect, mutual admiration, and the promise of a partnership built on truth. As the sun dipped low on the Santorini horizon, casting rose-gold hues across the caldera, Naomi lounged on the terrace sofa overlooking the infinity pool. She closed her eyes, savoring the brilliant convergence of sea and sky. Her canvas. Zane approached, phone in hand and an anxious look in his eyes. His footsteps faltered on the white stone deck before he cleared his throat. Hey, Olivia called, he said, offering the device. She wants to know if we're joining her at dinner tomorrow. Naomi opened one eye. You mean the Olive Grove tasting, right? She asked, dialing quickly. After a brief, warm exchange, Olivia expressing delight at Naomi's attendance, she returned the phone. We're confirmed for 7 p.m. She's coordinating a tasting menu. Zane shifted. Great. His tone carried an edge. Naomi recognized tension, the residue of bruised pride. Everything okay? She asked. I was telling Trey and Lana you're paying for everything, he admitted. They seemed surprised. Naomi set her coffee on the low table. Because I am paying, she said softly. I designed every detail of this retreat. Her gaze softened. It bothers you that I'm in control. He ran a hand through his hair. I just don't like you spending so freely. It's not indulgence, Naomi replied. It's my business. He flinched. You're a businesswoman, Naomi. I get that. But I felt like the host. You were the host of your own social media. She interrupted gently. Here, you're invited into my world. Nothing more. Zane's shoulders slumped. I know. I acted proud when I should have been humble. Naomi reached out. Pride is fine when earned. Pretending otherwise only makes you small. His eyes met hers. Teach me then. Show me. Gladly, she said, smiling. Join me at breakfast. I'll walk you through my process. The next morning, Zane found her at the resort's breakfast terrace. The pergola slats cast dancing shadows on the whitewashed walls. A waiter set a tray before Naomi. He addressed her with deference. Good morning, Ms. Brooks. Your Greek omelet with local herbs and feta. Zane waved a hand. I'll have that too. Naomi accepted his self-invite with a nod. Of course. When the waiter departed, Zane turned to Naomi. They treat you like royalty. She studied him. I built that respect. They know my name and my work. He swallowed. I claimed credit for your plans. Naomi placed her hand over his. Honesty is stronger than any brand. He let out a breath. I want to learn your world. During breakfast, Naomi outlined Brooks' property's origins. A single equity loan, a derelict villa on Lake Como. Nights spent drafting floor plans by candlelight. Zane listened, fascinated. She described sourcing local artisans, negotiating with municipal councils, hosting test guests. Each revelation made him see her anew. By mid-morning, they walked through olive groves she planted to stabilize the hillside. Naomi explained the agritourism model, combining accommodation with local culture. Zane asked questions about sustainability, guest feedback, staff training. As the sun climbed higher, Zane wrapped his hand around Naomi's. Humility and admiration stirred genuinely within him now. As the gentle Aegean breeze played with her hair, he realized that every lavish detail, from the villa's mosaic floor to the spa's private hammam, bore her signature. No more pretenses. No more deflections. He would stand beside her as an equal, ready to share both credit and responsibility. Late afternoon, the resort's executive suite beckoned. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed the cobalt sea stretching to the horizon. Naomi and Zane entered side by side, their footprints echoing on polished marble. She sank into a leather chair behind a sleek glass desk, while Zane surveyed the view. A discreet ping from her laptop announced an incoming Zoom. That's the board, she said. My boutique luxury division convenes monthly in Europe, not here, but I've called them for an urgent update. She clicked join, and the screen filled with polished faces. Her operations director in Milan, the head of design in Paris, and the marketing lead in Dubai. Zane hovered behind her chair. Through the translucent glass, he caught phrases. Profit margins on villa rentals. Guest satisfaction metrics. New wellness concept. Naomi's tone was crisp and authoritative. She gave directions about staffing, fine-tuning the spa menu, and collaborating with a local perfumer for signature scents. The board member scribbled notes, nodded approvingly, and thanked her. Zane felt a pang of awe. The woman he'd known as his plus one was the strategic mind behind a thriving hospitality brand. He cleared his throat gently. Naomi glanced back, gesturing for him to join. Zane, meet Clara. Naomi introduced. She's our operations director. Clara waved, eyes warm. I've heard about your journey, she said. Naomi speaks highly of your adaptability. Zane shook her hand, voice quiet. Thank you. Naomi guided the discussion to upcoming property acquisitions, a seafront villa in Mykonos, an eco-lodge in Crete, and a rehabilitation of a medieval castle in Tuscany. She asked for feasibility reports, funding timelines, and branding concepts. At each point, she listened, then steered the conversation with clarity and respect. 15 minutes later, Naomi clicked and the faces vanished. She exhaled, smoothing her blouse. Zane joined her at the desk, eyes bright. You are amazing. She smiled, exhaustion and exhilaration mixing in her expression. This is my world, my passion. She closed the laptop. Every property reflects a vision for authentic luxury. Zane reached out, running his thumb along the polished edge of her desk. I underestimated you. Naomi stood and joined him by the window. You only saw what I allowed. He nodded, feeling both regret and inspiration. Teach me about this side, too. She turned, laughter dancing in her eyes. Tomorrow morning, I'll show you our market analysis and brand presentation for the new castle. He laughed, genuinely eager. I'll prepare questions. That evening, Zane found himself scrolling through Brooks Properties' website on his phone. Elegant photography, heartfelt testimonials, design sketches, sustainability commitments. Each click deepened his respect. As they left the suite, Naomi slipped her arm through his. Partnership requires transparency. He squeezed her fingers. Thank you for inviting me in. Under the moonlit pergola, they walked toward dinner. Zane no longer deflected her achievements. He celebrated them. And for the first time, he felt he might belong in her world. Not as a passenger, but as a collaborator. The next morning's light filtered through the vine-covered pergola as Naomi prepared for a client presentation in the resort's conference suite. Whiteboard stood ready, filled with hand-drawn schematics. Zane arrived with 2 espressos. Morning. He offered 1 cup. Ready for our workshop. Naomi accepted the drink, her expression focused. I want to walk you through my site selection process. She tapped her laptop. We'll start with occupancy analytics, move to guest persona mapping, then spatial design. Zane nodded, settling into the chair beside her. As she projected slides, graphs of seasonal revenue, maps of property clusters, mood boards of local materials, he scribbled notes. Yet his attention drifted when she stepped away to fetch markers. The laptop lay open, its screen displaying a file named Tuscany_castle_pitch_valuation_7.25.25.xlsx. Warily, he swiveled the chair and clicked a tab. Rows of figures filled the screen. Projected earnings, renovation budgets, ROI timelines. At the bottom, her signature. Naomi E. Brooks, founder and CEO. Zane's heart pounded. He scrolled further. Line items for landscaping, artisan workshops, local chef partnerships. Details smaller than minutiae. This was her domain. Every cost, every forecast, every decision. His phone buzzed. A text from Trey. Breakfast infinity pool? Zane snapped back to reality, breathed, and closed the spreadsheet as Naomi returned. Let's talk guest flows, she said, donning a crisp blazer. Zane refolded his notes, eyes on her. Sorry, got an alert. She smiled knowingly. No worries. She turned to the whiteboard. Imagine guests arriving at sunset. We stage welcome cocktails overlooking the caldera, before escorting them to their villas. Zayn followed along, offering ideas about lounge music and mood lighting. Naomi paused, her gaze probing. "You're surprisingly engaged." He cleared his throat. "I'm learning from the best." She stepped forward, erasing a section. "Partnership is mutual. I value your perspective." He grinned. "Thanks." After the session, Naomi saved her slide deck and leaned back. "Now you've seen the skeleton behind the glamour." Zayn inhaled, gratitude warming him. "I had no idea it was so complex." She reached across the table, tapping his notebook. "Your social media metrics are organized differently, yes? But data, whether likes or bookings, drives informed choices." He chuckled. "I guess content calendars aren't too different from occupancy calendars." Naomi laughed, then glanced at her watch. "We should join breakfast." Then an overview of next week's board agenda. Zayn packed his pen and nodded. "Lead the way." Outside, a staff member greeted Naomi by name, inquired about her breakfast preferences, and arranged a fresh brew before even asking Zayn. He watched, mingled with humility, as Naomi navigated it all with grace. Later, on the glass walkway toward the dining pavilion, Zayn slipped his arm around Naomi. "Thank you for letting me peek behind the curtain." She leaned into him. "The only way to share success is through transparency." He kissed her temple. "I'm ready for more." Mid-morning, Naomi and Zayn strolled through the resort's landscape gardens. Lavender, rosemary, and citrus trees lined the cobblestone paths. Guests paused to greet Naomi, back straightening at her approach. "Ms. Brooks, good to see you," called a concierge from the lobby. "The sunset cruise is scheduled per your instructions." Zayn stopped, astonished. "You know her by name?" The concierge bowed. "Of course, Ms. Brooks. We always confirm with you first." He turned, speaking quietly into his earpiece. "Ensure Suite 3's early checkout is handled smoothly." Naomi smiled but said nothing. A housekeeper pushed a cart of fresh linens and called softly, "Miss Brooks, would you like extra towels in your villa?" Zayn's voice lowered. "They treat you like royalty." She linked her arm in his. "They treat me like their leader." They passed a group of gardeners pruning bougainvillea. "Naomi," one called, "the new jasmine cultivars arrived this morning. The head gardener wants to show you." She paused, gracious. "Lead on." They followed into a shaded courtyard, where pots of delicate vines thrived. The gardener explained soil pH adjustments and organic compost blends, all part of Naomi's sustainability mandate. Zayn watched the exchange, her attentive questions, her appreciation for craftsmanship. He realized this wasn't fleeting praise. It was respect earned over years. Every team member knew her priorities: quality, authenticity, and care. They continued to the spa wing. A massage therapist crossed the hall and paused. "Good morning, Ms. Brooks. We've finalized the eucalyptus steam chambers layout as per your blueprint." Naomi nodded. "Excellent. Begin installation at dawn." As they rounded the corner, a chef emerged carrying a tray of fresh pastries. He placed them on a marble counter. "For Ms. Brooks, a taste test of tomorrow's breakfast specials." The chef's tone conveyed reverence, not obligation. Zayn tapped Naomi's shoulder. "They clearly adore you." She shrugged lightly. "They see a shared vision." Zayn's admiration deepened. "I've never seen anything like it." Later, at the wine pairing, a sommelier approached with a crystal decanter. "Ms. Brooks, this microlot rose we sourced exclusively for you." He poured, eyes shining with pride. Naomi took the glass. "Thank you. It's perfect." Afterward, Zayn couldn't contain himself. In the private lounge, he turned to Naomi. "I underestimated you. You're more than smart. You inspire loyalty." She studied him. "None of this happens without genuine connection." She paused, then added softly, "Respect is earned daily." He nodded, swallowing his pride. "I want to earn your respect the same way." Naomi smiled, and they left the lounge arm in arm. Zayn felt newly humbled, but also newly motivated. He understood now that leadership wasn't about a single glamorous event. It was about countless small interactions, about listening, learning, and caring. And in Naomi, He'd found both a mentor and an equal partner. As twilight deepened, Naomi excused herself from the group. "I have a reservation," she said to Zane. "A private dinner." She handed him a small card. "I'll meet you afterward." Zane blinked. "You have your own dinner? What about Trey and Lana?" Naomi's lips curved in a calm smile. "This is at the chef's discretion. It's a tasting menu for one." She slipped past him, heels clicking on marble. His friends exchanged bewildered glances. Trey shrugged. "She must be VIP elite." Lana sighed. "Let her. We'll catch up later." Zane watched Naomi ascend the grand staircase alone. He felt a twinge of remorse. He approached Trey. "I'll join you guys later." Trey clapped him on the shoulder. "Go figure. She's the star of the show." Moments later, Naomi reached a discreet private dining room. Soft lantern light glowed on a long wooden table set for one. A single plate, a glass of vintage rose, and a personalized menu printed with her name. The chef himself greeted her with a bow. "Ms. Brooks, welcome," he said. "Tonight, we've prepared 4 courses inspired by island produce. Sea urchin carpaccio, rosemary-infused lamb loin, citrus-poached figs, and a lavender foam muse." Naomi sat, eyes gleaming. "Thank you. I'm eager." He poured the rose and guided her through each dish. They discussed flavor profiles, plating techniques, and local sourcing challenges. Naomi asked about recipe origins and sustainability practices. The chef beamed, delighted by her curiosity and expertise. Meanwhile, Zane lingered on the terrace outside, gazing through a latticed window. He saw Naomi animated, engaged in her element. His chest tightened. When dinner concluded, the chef presented a final plate, petit fours in delicate pastel hues. "For you," he said, "as a token of gratitude." Naomi rose and embraced him. This was extraordinary. After she departed, Zane slipped inside. The chef stepped back respectfully. "Mr. Carter?" Zane cleared his throat. I didn't know this was happening." His words trembled with vulnerability. The chef nodded. "Ms. Brooks arranged it. She believes culinary innovation deserves privacy." Zane absorbed the weight of that. Lunches and dinners had always been social affairs, performances, even. This one had been a singular conversation between creator and patron. He tucked the personalized menu into his pocket, a tangible reminder of Naomi's stature. When Naomi returned, she found him waiting near the staircase. "Enjoyed?" she asked gently. He handed her the menu. "More than you know. I see how much care you pour into everything." Naomi's gaze softened. "I wanted you to witness dedication unfiltered." He stepped forward. "I'm proud of you." She touched his arm. "Now it's your turn to plan something, anything, to show you care." He smiled shyly. Challenge accepted. As they descended to rejoin Trey and Lana under the lantern-lit courtyard, Zane carried new resolve. To step into Naomi's world not as an observer, but as an active participant, partner, collaborator, and equal. And for the first time, he truly believed they could build something extraordinary together. Late afternoon, as golden hour draped the whitewashed walls of Elysian Heights in warm amber, Naomi and Zane crossed the mosaic-tiled courtyard toward the private villa lounge. The breeze carried the faint scent of jasmine and lavender from surrounding gardens, mingling with the distant murmur of waves lapping against volcanic cliffs. Trey and Lana were already ensconced on a plush sofa beneath a billowing canopy, legs crossed and cocktails perched on a low table. Trey's gaze flickered from his phone to Naomi with a mixture of curiosity and unease. Lana leaned in, voice hushed but charged. "Zane, seriously," she said, eyes wide. "Why is everything under Naomi's name? That spa treatment yesterday, she paid for it. The yacht, the wine, the private dinners." Trey nodded, his expression sharpening. "I mean, I get that she's your girlfriend," he added, voice tight. "But come on. Who calls the chef to prepare a multi-course menu just for her? That's some serious influence." Zane's throat tightened as he closed the door behind him. He looked at Naomi, whose posture remained serene, almost regal. Her calm gaze held his, steady as the sea beyond. "Guys," Zane began, clearing his throat. It's not like that. She's just wealthy." Lana's lips pressed together. Wealthy, she echoed. She runs this place. You're practically her plus one. Naomi rose from the deep cushions, the linen of her caftan rippling gently. She smoothed the fabric at her waist before speaking. Is that what you're worried about? She asked softly. That I pay for everything. Trey exchanged a glance with Lana, then reached for his drink, swirling the amber liquid. We just thought you set this up, man. We wanted to help you create an epic trip. Zane ran his hand through his hair. I did book a few excursions, but I didn't realize. Naomi extended a hand, fingers brushing Zane's forearm. I invited you all into my world, not the reverse. Lana folded her arms. So we've been at your mercy this whole trip. Naomi stepped closer, voice measured. You've been my guests. Every thoughtful detail, each sunrise boat tour, curated wine tasting, late-night chef's table, stemmed from my desire to share something meaningful. Silence descended as the setting sun cast long shadows across the courtyard. Trey exhaled slowly, reclining. I feel like an idiot, honestly. Zane's shoulders sagged. I shouldn't have let you guys believe it was all me. Naomi placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch warm and reassuring. Vulnerability can mend pride. Acknowledging truth heals embarrassment. Trey leaned forward, brows knit. Naomi, I apologize. We never meant to disrespect you. Her gaze softened. I accept your apology. Respect isn't declared, it's demonstrated. Lana glanced at Zane, concern flickering. Are you okay? Zane looked at Naomi, gratitude and newfound humility in his eyes. Yeah, I'm focused on making this right. Naomi's lips curved into a gentle smile. Then join me for dinner tonight. Come as yourselves, not as social media personas. Relief washed over the group. They rose together, footsteps echoing on the marble floor. As they walked to the dining terrace, the tension that had rippled through their interactions dissolved into shared warmth. In that pivotal moment, the group turned. Envy transformed into admiration, suspicion yielded to appreciation, and a deeper camaraderie emerged. The trip had showcased Naomi's power, but it also revealed her generosity. In unity, they would forge memories far richer than any polished selfie or viral post, a testament to authenticity, respect, and the beauty of genuine connection. They toasted to friendship, authenticity, and the genuine joy of sharing life's adventures together warmly. Night had fallen, and lanterns glowed in the villa's courtyard as Naomi stepped into the marble-floored hallway. The air was perfumed with orange blossom from nearby pots. She felt Zane's presence before she saw him. His footsteps echoed behind her. He closed the distance until they were face to face beneath an archway of bougainvillea. Naomi, we need to talk, he said, tension threading his voice. She turned, calm and poised. Of course. His hand pressed against the smooth column beside her, pinning himself close. The flickering lantern light played across his face, revealing frustration and hurt. You humiliated me today, he began, voice low but trembling. In front of everyone. Trey, Lana, they all saw how I lost control. Naomi tilted her head, the caftan she wore whispering against the stone floor. You humiliated yourself, she corrected gently. I offered honesty. You created the spectacle. He exhaled sharply. I thought you loved surprises. Instead, you weaponized your power. Naomi's eyes softened, but her stance remained strong. This wasn't a trap. It was truth. Zane paced a few steps, fists clenched. I don't mind being your partner, on equal footing. But you deliberately made me look like a fool. She lifted a hand as if to still his agitation. I showed you reality. Pretending otherwise did a greater disservice. He whirled, gaze fierce. I refuse to accept that I'm just window dressing in your life. Her lips parted slightly. Are you? He stepped closer, voice cracking. No. I want to stand beside you, not behind. Naomi's breath fluttered as she measured her words. And if I never made that clear? He interrupted. Then why orchestrate every detail? Why not include me genuinely from the start? A silence spun between them, filled with jasmine-scented air. Naomi searched his eyes, vulnerability, wounded pride, an earnest desire to connect. She closed the gap. I invited you into my world. You must decide to embrace it or leave. His shoulders slumped. I never wanted to leave. But I need to feel I'm valued beyond being your accessory. Naomi reached into a small clutch and withdrew the personalized menu from the chef's private dinner. She handed it to him. This menu represents dedication, culinary art crafted for one. I believed you would appreciate its intention. Zane traced the ornate script with a fingertip. I appreciate you, but I need to earn that appreciation. She nodded, tears glistening. Then stay, but be honest moving forward. He wrapped his arms around her, gentle at first, then urgent. She responded with the same intensity. In that embrace, regret and hope mingled. Outside, the moon emerged from behind wispy clouds, casting silver light through palm fronds. Each step they took toward reconciliation resonated through the marble corridors. In that aftermath, they realized that conflict need not fracture bonds, but fortify them. The night's confrontation became a cornerstone for building trust and understanding. He smiled, wiping a stray tear. I'm ready. They walked back into the villa, hand in hand, stepping toward a new beginning. The confrontation had cleared the air, felling walls of pride and forging a path toward genuine unity. In the hush of the night, they found solace in shared vulnerability, proof that love can weather discomfort when truth guides the way. Morning light filtered through sheer curtains, illuminating the polished marble floors of Naomi's Santorini suite. A gentle sea breeze carried salt and jasmine through the open balcony doors. Yet before the present could anchor, her mind drifted back to a crisp autumn morning a decade earlier, when everything changed. In 2015, Naomi stood before an abandoned villa on Lake Como, its facade crumbling and gardens overgrown with ivy. Faded frescoes were barely visible beneath layers of neglect. Nearby villagers whispered that the property was cursed. Banks had foreclosed and moved on. But Naomi glimpsed hidden promise, a canvas waiting to be restored. Determined, she secured a modest equity loan from a smaller financier who believed in her vision. Early meetings were daunting. Contractors sneered at her lean budget, and architects doubted her experience. Each day, she walked dusty corridors, blueprint in hand, jotting notes in 3 languages to communicate clearly. She bartered for reclaimed marble, salvaged antique lanterns from estate sales, and enlisted local artisans to handcraft bespoke fixtures. She also wrestled with language barriers, negotiating in Italian and English until she mastered key phrases that earned local trust. Renovation hurdles tested her resolve. A collapsed roof beam required emergency reinforcement. Soil contamination threatened the garden's olive trees. Naomi spent sleepless nights balancing spreadsheets by lamplight, calculating costs and margins. At her lowest, she sat in the overgrown courtyard, hands trembling as she dialed her grandmother's number. The whispered advice she received, "Trust the beauty beneath," kindled renewed determination. To generate revenue, she launched a limited preview retreat, exclusive weekend stays marketed through intimate wine country networks. The first guest arrived in an Alfa Romeo convertible, dusty tires still warm from the winding road. Naomi welcomed him in a simple linen dress and guided him through newly restored lounges, private balconies overlooking the lake, and a chef-curated dinner featuring freshly foraged truffles. By morning, glowing with delight, he paid in full and promised his contacts would follow. He posted glowing messages, booked stays, and praised Naomi's personal touch online effortlessly. Momentum built swiftly. Travel publications praised her villa as a hidden masterpiece, and guest testimonials went viral on niche luxury forums. Naomi reinvested every cent, restoring frescoed ceilings, planting herb gardens, and installing eco-friendly heating under cobblestone floors. With each milestone, her skill and confidence grew, teaching her that vision, perseverance, and meticulous detail could transform neglect into art. Returning to the present, Naomi opened her laptop to review Brooks Properties' quarterly board report. Zane entered softly, carrying espresso cups and a vase of olive branches. He placed a cup before her. "Your story lies at the heart of everything you do," he said, voice sincere. She sipped the espresso, recalling distant nights in Lake Como. "That villa taught me to turn adversity into opportunity," she replied, meeting his gaze. "Every resort we develop carries that same spirit." Zane nodded, scrolling through images of the Lake Como retreat, restored mosaics, moonlit terraces, intimate guest reviews. I see why you calibrate every detail here, he said, motioning to their Santorini surroundings. You weave your past triumphs into present experiences. Naomi smiled, determination returning. Tomorrow, I want us to redesign the sunrise yoga flow, incorporating olive groves and cliffside vistas, just as I once reimagined that villa. He offered his hand. Let's do it together. As the caldera's gentle breeze rustled olive leaves beyond the balcony, Naomi felt past and present converge. Her flashback sustained her, fueling a shared vision for the future. Together, they embraced lessons learned and prepared to create incredible, unforgettable hospitality moments. Twilight draped the terrace in soft hues of lavender and rose as Naomi led the group to the final dinner of their Santorini retreat. The long table stretched under a canopy of lanterns, each flickering light dancing on crystal glassware and polished silverware. Jasmine garlands hung from the pergola beams, and a gentle breeze carried the sound of distant lute strings. Zane, Trey, and Lana took their seats, curiosity palpable. The general manager greeted Naomi warmly. Ms. Brooks, tonight's menu has been curated to celebrate your journey. He gestured for the staff to begin, but before the courses arrived, Naomi had arranged a surprise amuse-bouche. Delicate oyster shells topped with lemon foam and edible flowers, setting the tone for an evening of curated elegance. As starters arrived, lemon-infused tuna carpaccio with capers and microgreens, Naomi raised her glass. Thank you all for joining me. This dinner is my way of honoring each of you. Her voice was clear, resonant. Trey glanced at Lana. This feels different. Lana nodded, eyes fixed on Naomi. With the main course, a rosemary-studded lamb loin and saffron risotto, a subtle hush enveloped the table. Naomi cleared her throat. I'd like to share something important. She unlocked her phone and projected a slide onto a discrete screen, an itemized list of charges and bookings all displaying Brooks Properties as payer. Gasps rippled around the table. Zane's jaw tightened. Trey's fork hovered midair. Lana's hand flew to her mouth. Naomi continued. Every element of this retreat, the suite, the spa treatments, the yacht trips, and tonight's dinner, was arranged and funded by me. She clicked forward to reveal photos of the initial Lake Como villa, complete with before and after shots. My first property taught me the value of transformation through vision. Those early lessons on Lake Como deeply resonate here as I curate each moment with purpose and care. The slides transitioned smoothly. Zane's expression shifted from shock to awe. Trey leaned forward. You own all of this, he whispered. Lana's eyes filled with respect. Naomi lowered her phone and smiled. I invited you into my world because I trusted you. I never intended to embarrass anyone. My goal was transparency. A chorus of apologies rose. Trey spoke first. Naomi, I'm sorry for doubting you. You deserve every accolade. Lana added. Thank you for sharing your story and for this incredible experience. Zane reached across the table, taking Naomi's hand. You humbled me in the best possible way. I'm grateful. The sommelier poured vintage rose as dessert arrived, honey-poached figs with lavender cream. Each bite felt symbolic, the sweetness a testament to Naomi's journey. Lantern lights reflected in the crystal. As the group savored the final course, laughter and honest conversation flowed. Zane proposed a toast. To Naomi Brooks, a true visionary and generous host. Glasses chimed, a harmonious resonance under the night sky. After dinner, under a canopy of stars, they gathered by the infinity pool's edge. Naomi gazed at her reflection in the water. Zane slipped his arm around her. Trey and Lana stood close, smiles bright. I'll never forget this night, Trey said, or how you showed us the power of authenticity. Lana nodded. This retreat was more meaningful than any luxury facade. Zane kissed Naomi's temple. You taught me to celebrate substance over show. In the soft glow of lantern light and moonbeam reflections, their final dinner became more than a meal. It was a celebration of honesty, respect, and transformed perceptions. They lingered until midnight, sharing stories beneath a velvet sky, bonded deeply by the unforgettable revelations of the night. As dawn approached, they finally dispersed, carrying stories they would retell for years in whispered wonder. Naomi and Zane watched the sunrise together in contented silence. The lantern-lit courtyard fell silent as Naomi's final slide faded into darkness. A breathless pause hung in the air, broken only by the distant strum of a lute and the soft whisper of the breeze through olive branches. In that moment, time seemed suspended. The steel blue sea shimmered beyond the terrace, its gentle waves echoing the muted gasps around the table. Zane's eyes, wide with realization, met Trey's stunned gaze. Trey's hand froze mid-air, a forkful of risotto suspended inches from his mouth. Lana's breath caught, then exhaled slowly. The staff stood motionless, wine decanters balanced in gloved hands. Naomi lowered her gaze briefly, then stood tall. "You all know now," she said quietly, voice steady. "Every detail of this retreat, each villa, each course, every curated experience, has been brought to life by Brooks Properties." A low murmur rippled through the guests. Trey set his fork on the plate, the metallic click sounding louder than it should. "Wow," he stammered. "This is unbelievable." Zane's mouth opened, then closed. He slid in his seat, palms flat on the table. Lantern swayed overhead, reflecting dancing halos in his eyes as he processed the truth. Lana reached across the table, taking Zane's hand. "Breathe," she whispered. "She did this for us." Naomi's sapphire dress glinted in the lantern light. She stepped forward, wiping a tear from her cheek. "I wanted you to see that privilege is not entitlement. It is responsibility." Zane rose slowly, chair scraping on the stone floor. He faced Naomi, voice hushed. "I'm honored and humbled." Trey and Lana joined him, forming a small circle around Naomi. The group's earlier tension dissolved into warmth. Glasses were refilled with vintage rose, poured with careful reverence. A hush settled, then Naomi spoke again. "This retreat was more than luxury. It was a test of assumptions. You passed. Here, under the Aegean sky, they discovered that true richness comes from shared truth and respect." Soft laughter and applause erupted. Zane raised his glass high. "To Naomi. To truth. To unforgettable revelations." Glasses chimed under the starlit sky. The music resumed, softer this time, string notes weaving through the night. Zane pulled Naomi close, voice low. "I never want to take you, or your vision, for granted again." She leaned into him, heart full. "Thank you for embracing this journey." They stood among friends as the courtyard seemed to glow brighter, as if acknowledging their new understanding. Afterward, the manager approached with a simple leather-bound ledger. He handed Zane a small envelope. "Sir, this is your bar tab," he said with a respectful bow. He could barely meet Zane's eyes, as if amused by the modest billing. Naomi smiled. "Consider it my final touch." Zane accepted the envelope, opening it to find a single line. "Your charges are invoiced separately." Below, a modest sum covered a few cocktails. His face flushed. Zane whispered, "You are more powerful than any resort." Naomi laughed softly, knowing she owned more than a view. She owned their respect. In that moment, the mic truly dropped. The truth hung in the warm night air. She hadn't merely visited the resort. She owned every facet. And he, along with their friends, had witnessed the grand reveal. And it was unforgettable. The group lingered long into the night, hearts bound by this revelation. As dawn approached, they finally dispersed, carrying stories they would retell for years in whispered wonder. Naomi and Zane watched the sunrise together in contented silence. Zane stormed out of the lantern-lit courtyard, every step echoing on marble as the laughter and candlelit murmurs of their farewell dinner faded behind him. He crossed the moonlit terrace, ignoring the gentle lapping of the Aegean below, consumed entirely by embarrassment and fury. In a single breath, he'd witnessed the truth of Naomi's quiet power. She was the architect of their entire escape, and he had been nothing more than an accessory to her grand design. His pride, once a fortress, crumbled like sea-weathered stone beneath the relentless tide. He stopped before an expansive glass railing that framed the endless sea. The salt-kissed breeze that usually soothed him felt like a taunt. "How could I have been so blind?" he muttered, fingernails digging into the cool surface. In the shadows, his hazel eyes glistened with unshed tears. The magnitude of his folly weighed on him like an anchor. Gratitude warred with guilt in his chest. Zane paced, each footfall measured but frantic, circling the terrace's edge. Memories pelted him. Naomi's calm nod at the rooftop spa, the private chef's dinner for one, the VIP bracelet that had barred him from a spa sauna. Each detail exposing the reality he'd refused to see. He pressed both hands to his head. I should have listened, he whispered. I should have asked. Anger flared as regret bled into his thoughts. I was the joke, he hissed to the night, boasting about her when I didn't even know her story. He sank to the stone floor, folding his legs beneath him, back against the railing. His voice cracked on the next breath. I'm sorry, he whispered into the darkness, his apology echoing across the silent courtyard. Tears carved warm tracks beneath his cheekbones as the tension he'd carried for days finally unraveled into raw emotion. He replayed every careless boast, every ignorant assumption. The realization that Naomi had designed not just a trip, but their entire narrative, was a blow that left him hollowed out. Time stretched unnoticed. Cool air replaced the heat of his anger, and the first hints of dawn tinted the horizon in pale rose. Zane unclasped his fingers and gazed at the sea. Above the water, a single star winked, constant, unwavering. He inhaled deeply, letting the steady rhythm of the waves guide him toward calm. Slowly, he rose, knees protesting. Each movement was deliberate, a silent vow to abandon ignorance. I have to make this right, he murmured, fingertips brushing his lips. Naomi deserved acknowledgement and respect, not posturing. He squared his shoulders and took one last look at the serene expanse before him. Under that vast sky, he would find humility and earn her truth with honesty. The terrace door glowed softly at the edge of his vision. Gathering every ounce of courage, Zane stepped forward, ready to face whatever came next. Zane's shoulders sagged as he pushed open the heavy glass door to the resort's reception lobby. The bell above the door jingled softly, echoing through the hushed space. Beneath a grand chandelier, he paused, ashamed yet determined. Behind the marble desk, General Manager Henrietta Dumas looked up, her silver-streaked hair catching the morning light. Mr. Carter, she greeted, offering a respectful nod. Good morning. Good morning, Ms. Dumas, Zane replied, voice tight. He cleared his throat. I need to settle last night's bar tab. Henrietta set aside her ledger and retrieved a crisp envelope embossed with Brooks Properties logo. She extended it to him. All charges except your bar tab were authorized by Ms. Naomi Brooks. This covers your cocktails. Zane accepted the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside lay an itemized invoice, a modest total covering a handful of drinks. Beneath, a note read, courtesy copy. All other services billed to Brooks Properties. His eyes flicked up to Henrietta's composed face. Ms. Brooks wished everything to be seamless. Henrietta continued gently. I trust you understand. Zane exhaled slowly. I do. I owe her an apology. The manager inclined her head. Ms. Brooks values integrity. She believes in transparency above all. May I suggest you join her for breakfast and make amends? Zane folded the invoice and slipped it into his jacket pocket. Relief and remorse warred inside him. Thank you, he said softly. I will. He turned and walked through the lobby's marble halls to Naomi's suite. Each footfall echoed his renewed resolve. She stood by the balcony, coffee cup in hand, watching the gentle sunrise. Good morning, Naomi said quietly as he entered. Good morning, he replied, voice steady. He extended the envelope. I settled the bar tab. I'm sorry for underestimating you, for pretending this trip was mine to claim. Naomi accepted the envelope and met his gaze. Thank you, she replied, warmth in her tone. Zane crossed the room and embraced her. She rested her head against his chest, and in that quiet moment, the manager's confirmation had bridged the chasm between them, leading them back to respect and honesty. Morning's pale light filtered through sheer curtains as Naomi stood before her open suitcase, the soft carpet muffling her deliberate steps. The suite was hushed, save for distant housekeeping. She folded crisp linens with the same care she applied to her resorts, every motion purposeful, every detail precise. Zane lingered by the balcony doors, guilt etched into his features. He cleared his throat. Naomi. She paused, her profile framed by the caldera's blue beyond the glass. I'm packing for the flight home, she said, voice calm. It departs at noon. I want to help, he offered, stepping closer. She shook her head, slipping her passport and boarding pass into a leather pouch. Solo time helps me reflect before I return to work. He swallowed. And me. Naomi retrieved a small reservation card embossed with his name. Suite 408 is under your name. Economy, but comfortable. It's next door. Economy. His smile faltered. She zipped the suitcase shut. Partnership isn't proximity, it's integrity. He reached for her hand. I understand the lesson. I promise to earn your respect. Naomi's gaze softened. She placed a gentle hand on his cheek. I believe you will. Footsteps approached. A valet knocked softly, then entered with her luggage. She handed him her suitcase. Zane gathered his own bag, heart pounding. May I walk you to the car? He asked. Naomi nodded. I'd like that. They descended the corridor in companionable silence. At the portico, the driver opened the sedan's door. Naomi turned to Zane. Goodbye, Zane, she said quietly. See you soon, Naomi, he replied, voice thick. She offered him a final, encouraging smile before stepping into the car. Zane watched until the sedan glided away, then exhaled deeply, resolve hardening in his chest. He would prove himself worthy of her trust, her partnership, and her love. Golden morning light washed over the private runway as Naomi stepped onto the tarmac. Her tailored blazer caught the sun, and the wind teased her hair. Before her stood Brooks Air Flight 76, her bespoke jet. Its sleek fuselage gleamed, an extension of the luxury hospitality brand she'd built from the ground up. The driver lifted her luggage. She handed over her second suitcase with a nod. Flight crew in crisp uniforms greeted her by name. Ms. Brooks, welcome aboard, the captain said, extending a gloved hand. Each step up the staircase affirmed years of strategic planning, investor meetings, late-night calls that had made this possible. Inside, the cabin mirrored her resorts, handcrafted wood panels, soft leather seats that reconfigured into beds, windows with adjustable opacity, and an executive table ready for in-flight briefings. A digital display read, Flight 76, Santorini, Dubrovnik, with wheels up, in 15 minutes. Naomi settled at the head of the table, laptop open, phone in hand, ready to blueprint the next acquisition. The pilot's voice crackled through the intercom. We're ready when you are, Ms. Brooks. Depart ahead of schedule, she replied crisply. A flight attendant delivered a rose-infused latte, her signature morning blend, and bowed. As the jet thundered down the runway and lifted into cerulean sky, Naomi turned to her team as they filed in. Over charts and blueprints they discussed guest journey mapping, wellness integrations, and the digital concierge platform rolling out next quarter. Her voice guided each point. Moments later, the cabin lights dimmed for cruising altitude. Naomi tapped her phone. A text from Zane read, Safe travels. Proud of you. She smiled and replied, Thank you. See you soon. Proximity no longer defined their partnership. Mutual respect did. Through the window, Santorini's cliffs faded into cloud. Naomi leaned back, content. In this final scene, high above the sea, she was fully in control of her destiny. Every resort, every jet, every curated experience bore her signature. And now, they soared toward new horizons she would shape with the same vision that had ignited Elysian Heights. The jet's gentle hum filled the cabin as Naomi reviewed the teaser storyboard on her tablet. 4 quick cuts. Zane's swaggering introduction. Naomi's silent nod at check-in. The projection of charges under Brooks Properties. And finally, the caldera at dawn with an overlay of bold text. She tapped approve. Below her, the world scrolled through endless feeds. In hours, the 15-second clip would drop and scroll stoppers everywhere would pause on that punchy last frame. She shared a glance with Zane, who stood behind her seat. He held a small carved mosaic box, a keepsake from Santorini. Inside, a single line was engraved on a polished silver plaque. She wasn't just at the resort, she owned the view he bragged about. Naomi traced the words with her fingertip, smiling. That one sentence distilled their entire journey. Humility met authority. Assumptions shattered, respect reclaimed. It was a hook impossible to scroll past. Zane whispered, That's our viral moment. She leaned into him. Exactly. As the plane crossed the straightest layer, Naomi closed her eyes and spoke the line aloud once more. She wasn't just at the resort, she owned the view he bragged about. The cadence was perfect, sharp, unexpected, unforgettable. Moments later, her assistant entered with in-flight coffee. Naomi sipped, letting the story settle in her mind. Tomorrow it would live on every platform, inspiring viewers to reconsider who holds power, and why assumptions can be the greatest setup for a twist. In that suspended stillness, Naomi knew the impact. Countless hearts would flip at the reveal, then lean in for more. And as the jet cruised toward Dubrovnik, she drifted into a confident, contented smile, ready for the next chapter, armed with one final line that would echo far beyond the sunset over Santorini. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please like, comment, and share. Also turn on the bell to get more of our videos. See you in the next story.